Next matchup for us to look out for, the Cincinnati Bengals going against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, with this week's week 6, we're not going to see too many one-on-one matchups with undrafted players going at it. That I would say that's going to be significance of some kind of impact. But this week is more like on highlights of certain players going up against other teams. And when we look at the Seattle Seahawks and the Cincinnati Bengals, I want to pay attention to wide receiver for the Bengals, Trenton Elwin. He had a career high of catches last week when he had 8 catches for 60 yards. That was what he did when we pretty much saw how the Bengals came alive against the Cardinals. So watch out for that young man, number 16 for the Bengals. He came on the scene last year, really produced late in the season. Now, since everybody's starting to get their rhythm in Cincinnati, starting with Joe Burrow, now they're going to start seeing this man being acclimated with those other 3 stud receivers on that squad. So make sure you watch out for Trenton in this game for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, next game, San Francisco 49ers and the Cleveland Browns. Yes, we're hearing all this stuff about Deshaun Watson and all that stuff. Look, talk about Deshaun Watson and everybody else with other networks. Here, we're dealing with undrafted stars. And we definitely want to talk about the San Francisco 49ers in that back end, starting with Trayshawn Gibson. Trayshawn had his first interception of the season last year, giving him 33 career interceptions, third most among active players. He also had 14 interceptions in the last 4 seasons when he was with, in those 4 seasons when he was with the Cleveland Browns from 2012 to 2015. So, I'm not gonna say his revenge has been so much time has passed, but to be able to go against his former team in Cleveland, this will be something to watch out for. So watch out for number 31, especially if you see Gibson really showing out on the field. That's paying his old mates. There's a little taste of what they could have had if they stuck with him. All right, that's another matchup there. Now for the New Orleans Saints and the Houston Texans. New Orleans Saints, we know about their explosive offensive players, but we're going to talk about on the defense side of the ball, and we'll talk about Carl Granderson. Granderson had a sack and tied a career high of 3 tackles for loss in week 5. He also had 4 sacks in his past 5 road games. Granderson is looking good out there. Also, his other partner out there, Roach. These guys are putting pressure on the quarterbacks, stuffing the run. Look out for Granderson in this matchup when they definitely want to make sure they hold the Texans down, because they do have a good running game with Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce is a solid running back, so he definitely will have his hands full trying to get past these guys, because these mountain of men starting with Granderson, they definitely going to have some kind of answer for him. All right, here we go. Another matchup, Carolina Panthers and the Miami Dolphins. Now, this is one of those games that is going to be pretty much on both sides of the ball. You're going to see some good stuff from some solid players. Starting with Adam Thielen. I know it seems like I'm talking about him every week, but I can't not talk about him because he's doing such a great job with his new team. What he did last week, he had 11 receptions for 107 yards and had his 58th career touchdown in week 5. He also had his 7th career game where he had at least 10 catches, and his 23rd career game where he had over 100-yard receptions. This young man, yes, still young man because I'm older than him, he's still doing a great job in the NFL. Definitely helping Bryce Young get along or make his progress in the NFL. When you have a veteran wide receiver like that, it also helps help with the transition from one level to another, knowing that you have someone there. And it's normally you have a tight end that's going to help the young buck get along, make that transition smooth. But Adam Thielen, the wide receiver, veteran wide receiver, is helping Bryce and those guys transition along. Soon, we're going to see that transition equate to wins. So let's be patient. It's going to happen. And on the Miami Dolphins side of the ball, we know about Raheem Mostert. Talked about him a lot, and we're going to talk about him again, knowing that their rookie running back, Devon Achane, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks due to an injury. So it's going to put Raheem Mostert back in the spotlight, so to speak, as the ball carrier, the main primary ball carrier for the Miami Dolphins. So let's look to see what he's going to do this week. In week 5, he rushed for 65 yards and a touchdown, and he is tied in the NFL with 8 touchdowns. So he's sitting at the top of the mountain in touchdowns, total touchdowns in the NFL. So let's continue to watch what Raheem Mostert is going to do for the Miami Dolphins, and this team continue to do very, very well this entire season. And for the last matchup, now this right here can be what you consider big check game. Big check game, not necessarily going to be explosive players from undrafted players going against each other, but this is pretty much almost like I say a homecoming of sorts. You know about the Las Vegas Raiders with their head coach Josh McDaniels underneath Bill Belichick for many years in New England. Some of these talented people is going against their old coach in Bill Belichick, starting with Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers had led the team last week in their win on that Monday night against the Green Bay Packers with 7 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown. And he also had at least 7+ catches and 75 receiving yards in the past 3 out of 4 games that he had played. So Jacoby Myers having himself a solid season starting off this year as a new Raider. He spent his first 4 seasons, however, in the NFL from 2019 2022 with the New England Patriots. So we'll get a chance to see lined up against his old teammates and his practice buddies. So we'll see how that works out. And also with linebacker for the Raiders, Robert Spillane. He had 9 tackles and a career high 2 interceptions last week. And now he's aiming for his 10th game in a row with 5+ tackles. So definitely keep your eye out on these guys and see what these players are going to do, these undrafted talents. See what they're going to do in week 6. Make sure you guys come back next week so we talk about what these guys are going to do and look out for the week 7 matchups. Stay blessed. Here we go, folks.